There's no faster way of making money in real estate than when you get a property at a steep discount. Like just imagine for a moment buying a $300,000 house for $200,000. Like you literally walk into $100,000 of equity, and if you were to get a $300,000 mortgage, how many years would it take to pay it down just to $200,000? You're literally shaving off a decade of paying down that principal just because you found a really good deal. And today we're gonna talk about how you find these really good deals, and I'm here with my friend Carlos Reyes. Carlos, how are we doing, brother?
Amazing, brother, thank you.
You have literally done over 1,000 deals. I think in a single month, you literally made over $1 million wholesaling and flipping deals, right?
Yes, sir.
So when it comes to finding good deals, is it pretty safe to say that you're the man?
I am.
Let's actually define what a really good deal is. I have a lot of experience having done several thousand buy and hold deals, but when you're flipping real estate or you're doing wholesale, you need to get a certain level of discount for a deal to make sense. So how do you define a really good deal?
It's very simple. Whatever the after repair value or the current market value of that property versus what percentage you are acquiring that deal for. Anything below 70% or 70% and below, it's considered a pretty good deal.
Okay, so you're basically saying, hey, if that property fixed up is worth $300,000 and I get it for $200,000, in most situations, that's kind of a workable deal.
Absolutely.
And yet, when you find a good deal like that, dude, it's gonna be trash sometimes, right?
Absolutely. So whatever the rehab cost is, you do have to account for that.
Okay.
So if there is $100,000 in equity, but the rehab's gonna be $70,000 or $50,000,
then it doesn't really have that equity.
Then it's not a great deal. You might wanna get it a little steeper.
I get this question all the time. How do you actually know what something is worth so that you can then determine if you're getting a good deal or not?
You have to learn how to run comparables. You have to learn how to determine what's called the after repair value of a property.
But isn't that like for realtors to do? Like, isn't that realtor's job? Like, don't you have to like find someone who's licensed and be like, hey, can you use the MLS, the multiple listing service, to do my comparables for me?
There are many ways, and that is just one of the ways. There are softwares out there that will do it for you.
Okay.
You can go to Zillow.com and that will give you what's called a Zestimate of the property, right? You can go to Redfin. There's so many resources out there that will give you a good idea of what that property is worth.
You have to take a number of expenses into account, right? If I find a property for $200,000 that's worth $250,000, I'm going to hold it for 5 years. I just look at it like a $50,000 head start because my tenants now are going to work on paying down that mortgage, and 5 years later the mortgage will probably be $15,000 or $20,000 less. Add that to my $50,000 discount, and that's going to, when I sell the property, that's going to all come to me in the form of profit plus any cash flow and tax benefits that I got along the way. But your game doesn't work that way.
Go find a good deal, right? You don't have to have cash or money. You don't have to have credit. You don't have to have a license. Just go find a good deal. They need to sell their house fast, and they need to sell it in as-is condition.
Okay.
Right? Go find that deal, lock up that deal, which means put that deal under contract, and then take that piece of paper, assign it to a fix and flip person or an investor who wants to actually put in the time and put in the money into that deal and put it on the market, list it on the market. That's not your responsibility. Your one sole responsibility is go find a good deal and put it under contract.
Yeah, but that investor has to have a certain amount of profit for that to be worthwhile. Like if the house is worth $400,000 and you get it for $390,000, $10,000 below, there's no investor that's going to want to take that deal off your hands because there's not enough equity. So how do you, like, what is a good profit that you need to factor in for an investor?
Well, you're absolutely right. There's not enough meat on the bone. That's what they call it, right? This is what an investor or an end buyer user can sell the property for. Let's just say $300,000, right? Well, it's going to take about $50,000 in repairs to get it up to market condition or to be able to list it for what we estimate is the market value.
Okay, so real quick, if it's worth $300,000 fixed up and it needs $50,000 repairs, even if you negotiate the deal for $250,000 and put in your $50,000 repairs, you're still at $300,000. There's still no profit.
But most investors are very comfortable at a range of 12 to 15% profitability.
Okay, so this is 15% on the value.
Yes,
so
for what they're going to sell it for, yes.
Okay, so 15% on a $300,000 home is $45,000, right? So that means that I have $50,000 of repairs. I also got to factor in $45,000 of profit. So I need to get that house closer to $205,000 because they're going to put in $50,000 of repairs and get it up to $255,000, and that leaves $45,000 left. But even then, there's still some closing costs, right?
Exactly. So these are the major things that you have to account for, right? One, repairs. Okay. 2, closing costs.
What percentage do you allocate?
3, right? What the profitability that investor wants to make.
Okay.
So closing costs, and let's not forget agency fees, because more than likely the investor is going to list the property with an agent.
Got it.
Right? So the closing costs and agency fees, they account for about 7% of the property's sale value.
Got it. Okay, so we're basically saying on this property, I got $50,000 in repairs, I need a $45,000 profit, and then I need 7-ish% for closing costs and realtor fees, which is probably going to be around, $20,000, $22,000. So the house is in horrible condition. It's a wreck. That's why they can't market it, they can't sell it, they have problems. You're there to solve them. And the house technically in good repair would be $300,000. But right now, if I just negotiate it for $184,000, that's going to cover the $50,000 of rehab, the $45,000 of profit, and the $20,000 of
the closing costs.
Which means that you, as a wholesaler, if you're trying to target a $20,000 minimum profit, your maximum allowable offer is probably going to be sitting somewhere around 164.
Absolutely.
Which is 20,000 below that 184 point.
Yep. That's it.
So if you make an offer of 164, the person's sitting there thinking, whoa, like my house is worth $300,000 fixed up. Why are you giving me such a low offer? And you've got to be there to explain to them. It's like, listen, you have $50,000 of work that needs to go into this house. My partner needs to be incentivized to throw up the money, get you bought out, all cash, all up front. And then on top of that, there's closing costs and whatnot. So that's what it is. And then if you do get that deal, you make $20,000.
100%. Yeah.
And you've done this 1,000 times.
It's literally changed my entire life and the lives around me for sure.
Best month of profits that you ever had?
Over $1 million, December of 2021.
Over $1 million?
Yep, over $1 million.
Can you just tell me how that kind of felt?
Very simple. A big portion of that was one deal in Berkeley, California. It was a cold call to a probate list.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know if you know what a probate is, but when someone passes away, they leave the house to a family member. Well, that family member happened to not live there, had no emotional attachment to this property in Berkeley, California. And we got a hold of that family member and he allowed us to contract the property. And the gross profit we made on that one deal was $783,000.
That doesn't suck. One of my mentors told me that every $783,000 helps.
Well, here, keep in mind, by the way, it took us 6 months of following up. It was around 30 phone calls. But would you make 30 phone calls if it meant that you were going to make $783,000?
I probably wouldn't, Carlos. I mean, that's probably only making like I don't know, $20,000 a phone call. You're going to do the
783. It's $26,000.
$26,000
every time you pick up the phone and call. Yeah.
So I definitely get why there's a lot of people out there like, oh my gosh, wholesaling, that's the game. By the way, if you're watching this and you're like, what's that thing? What is this wholesaling game? And if you want to learn more about that, click the link below. Let me show you how to get started fast and easy in that game, because that's the game you play when you hate your job, when you hate your life, and you're like, blah. How do I get to I'm just sick and tired of making $50,000 or $100,000 a year. What about these real estate people out there like Carlos? I mean, he's making millions, so let's not use him as an example, but what about the people out there that are making a $250,000 or $500,000 a year? If you've heard of these people, they're called wholesalers, and there's a link below showing you a very simple way of how you get started with that. So now we get to the meat and potatoes. How do you actually find these good deals? Because there's a lot of archaic methods like networking, driving around and looking for dilapidated buildings and checking out public records, right? That's the stuff I was kind of taught at the beginning of my real estate game, but technology has really advanced things. Curious, what's maybe one of your favorite advanced techniques that you use?
The simplest way to get going is cold calling homeowners.
Wait. How do you even get a list of homeowners?
Very simple. Go to prospectx.com.
Okay.
And pull a list.
Okay.
Right? Skip trace that list right there in prospectx.com. It's going to give you all the phone numbers you need and start dialing for dollars, baby.
Okay, so I want to understand. You go to prospectx.com and there's a way, when you say pull a list, you're basically paying pennies per lead and you're going to get a certain number of names.
It's less than a cent to pull, I think.
Okay, and then on top of that, you got to pay a little bit more and say, hey, skip tracing means go search all public records and find me this person's address or email address or phone number, and that way you at least get dialable phone numbers.
That's it.
Okay, and then when you call them, what do you say?
Very simple. Normally, you pick up a script, which is provided by whoever clicks the link below, right? And it goes something like this. Hey, Kris, how's it going? Good evening.
Good. Who is this?
Hey, this is Carlos with ABC Home Buying. Just giving you a call to see if you're interested in selling your property today.
How did you get my information?
We're actually buying a few properties in the area, and we're calling the homeowners in this area specifically just to see if anybody's interested in receiving a cash offer. Well, we are offering cash for people's properties in your area. We're buying an as-is condition, and we're closing pretty quick.
Really?
That's right.
So, I mean, we have talked a little bit about, I don't know, I mean, we talked about sometime later this summer actually maybe selling our house.
Well, why don't we talk about a cash offer that would make you feel very comfortable in moving on from the property?
Okay, like what does that look like?
Well, before I give you the specific cash offer, right, I do got to ask you several questions so we can figure out if this is a good fit.
So that's how you start the conversation?
It's that simple.
Okay. Now, I imagine that you've got to get a lot of rejections. Like, you got to get a lot of people like saying, no, click, I'm not interested in that, wasn't trying to sell my house.
But just remember, every no gets you closer to the yes you're looking for.
Are these just random, or are you like going after like pre-foreclosures?
You can do a broad shotgun campaign. Where you just call every single homeowner in specific areas. Or you can really niche it down and say, you know what, I'm going to go after homeowners that have at least 20% or more equity in the home. Or I'm gonna go after homeowners that are defaulting in their taxes. Or I'm gonna go after a homeowner, right, that is behind on payments. So yeah, you can get as niche as you would like through Prospect X.
So you're telling me that we got all these hustlers out there that are literally just dialing hard.
That's it.
And that every once in a while you find someone that's like, yeah, I would totally entertain an all cash offer. What would motivate someone to even want to entertain that usually? Like, what's the driving force behind someone wanting an all cash offer on their house?
Catching the right person at the right time. That's it. Catching the right person, the right homeowner.
What do they got going on? What do they got going on in their life?
Very simple. I'll give you an example, right? There's an individual that we both were talking to earlier today. He's about to make a deal happen out in San Antonio, Texas. The property's worth $250. He's acquiring it for $130. And she, her husband did pass in that house, and she's ready to move on. And she just wants someone to buy it in as-is condition. She doesn't want to fix up the property in any way. She just wants to move on. So she's pretty motivated.
Technique number 2. What's another great way to find really good deals?
Very simple, direct mail, right? You can, again, that's.
Are you talking about like I put letters in the mail and the postman takes it to the person's house and then they open it up and they're like, "Can I buy your house?"
Yeah, you know what's crazy? That I love data just like you, and I was looking into different marketing channels and different analytics that was giving me the specific return on investment, right? Direct mail had a range of 9 to 12 return on marketing expense.
Like a 9 to 12x?
9 to 12x.
So you're saying I put $1 out, I get $9 to $12 back.
It is not dead. You have to understand that in the game of real estate, specifically wholesaling, there are what you call marketing waves. Well, everybody's cold calling. Everybody's sending out text messages, right? Everybody's doing digital marketing campaigns. Well, what happens when everybody goes away from the old school methods of like a direct mail marketing channel, right?
That's probably better for you if you are.
It's time for you to really execute on what people are running away from.
One of my mentors always taught me, he said, hey, the direction everyone's running in,
run the other way.
Yeah.
That's right. So direct mail is still.
What does the letter say? So I send out 10,000 letters and I get mine in the mail from Carlos Reyes, ABC Real Estate Company. Yep. And what does the letter say?
The letter is very simple. And by the way, you can use the same list that you pulled from Prospect X
and send them letters.
Send it to a company called Yellow Letter HQ.
Yellow Letter HQ, and they'll do it for you?
And they'll do it for you. Just give them that entire list, and they'll send every single piece of mail.
I want to know what the letter says. What does the letter say, Carlos?
I'll give you my personal favorite. It's what you call the Google postcard.
Okay.
It is a picture of the homeowner's home, right? It looks like you were hiding in a trash can somewhere and you just took a picture of the house. And
that's got to be trippy to get a postcard with a bigger house on it. I'm like, who's watching?
Exactly. That's why the response rate is so high on those Google postcards.
Because they're like, is that my house?
It says, Dear Kris, my name is Carlos and I'm interested in making you a cash offer on this property. And then it's a picture of your house.
And they just call.
And they're like, what? How did you get this picture? So that specific mail piece has a very high response rate.
Okay, so we got direct mail. What is your third favorite marketing?
My favorite. Once you are a experienced acquisition sales person, I strongly encourage you to do Google AdWords, AKA pay per click, right? Why? It is the highest conversion. Okay. For every 12 leads, you're getting a deal. It's the quickest time frame of getting a return, right? Because from when the lead is born to when you put that property under contract, the average is around 21 days. Oh. So you're bringing back that cash into your company, right, or to yourself fairly quickly.
I'm kind of curious, like when you do that, is there a company that you use to help you set it up?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I don't expect you to do any of it. Okay. There's resources out there, and that's why we're giving you every single resource. And if you click on the link below, you'll get more resources, right? Magnusdigital.com.
Magnus?
Magnus digital.com. We personally have been using them since July of 2016.
Okay.
Right? They blew my socks off the moment that I invested a good amount of money. Right? It was at that point, it was about $7,500, but I made $123,000 in profit in July of 2016, and I've never looked back.
Okay, and so PPC is kind of your game.
That's it, but you don't start there, right? You want to get into reps. You want to put the reps in. You want to get comfortable talking to people.
Bottom line is you use marketing to find really good deals. You get it under contract, you go find another investor, you punt it to them, and you make sure there's a margin for you. And maybe you're picking up $10,000 or $20,000, or maybe you're picking up $780,000, and maybe on a normal day it's, I don't know, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, right?
Absolutely.
That's probably not a bad day.
Not a bad day.
Listen up, if you want to tap into this and you want to blow past your W-2 income job, you want to figure out how to amplify your real estate game, and you want to learn how to find deals that are 30 or 40%, maybe even sometimes 50% below market, there's a link below where you can get in contact with Carlos and learn this game. Click the link, fill out your information, get with the team, and let's give you all the resources that you need to start crushing it in wholesaling. Hey, thank you so much for watching today. And Carlos Reyes, thank you so much for joining me, brother man. Check it out. If you are curious, 2024, what's going down? We're pumped about the real estate market because it is about to explode. Carlos, are you excited about it?
Absolutely. I always tell people this. The best time to get involved with real estate wholesaling was 20 years ago. The second best time to get involved in real estate wholesaling is today.
And if you want to learn more about the market 2024, what's going down for buy and hold, wholesaling and everything, click right here, watch this video, and let me show you.